Greetings, class. Hey, Mr. Stanberry here for your second video. This will be for Wednesday the 28th. We are going to explore some new trig functions, okay? But first, let's review some fraction knowledge. Let's just take 1, the integer 1, and let's divide it by 3/4. Whenever you have an integer divided by a fraction, the denominator always ends up on top, and it'll be 4/3. It creates a reciprocal. Okay? And a brief check and make sure this is all on screen. Okay, good. All right? And why is that? Because basically 1 is what? 1 divided by 1 is 1, or 1 over 1 is 1. Remember, we're going to multiply by, division is multiplying by the reciprocal, so 1 divided by 3/4 is the same as 1 times the reciprocal of 4/3, so you end up with 4/3. So remember that rule. If you just have an integer divided by the fraction, it just flips it, and that comes up here, okay? That plays a role in our lesson, okay? All right, let's talk about the new term, cosecant. All right, let's start over. Let me go secant, okay? All right, secant of theta, it's related to cosine. Secant and cosine are paired up. It's basically 1 over cosine theta, okay? All right? So let's break down. If they ask for secant of an angle, we know it's 1 over cosine. And we know cosine, right? Remember, all of our triangles here, we're going to be pretending this is on a circle, which we're going to end up calling a unit circle. So this is always going to be r, this is going to be my x, and this is going to be my y. Okay? Alright, so cosine for this angle, we know is what? Adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's 1 over adjacent over hypotenuse, which is what? 1 over x over r, adjacent over hypotenuse. So what's going to happen here? This comes up here, so secant theta is r over x, because this comes up here. Okay? Alright. So we know cosine theta is x over r, secant's r over x. They're going to be reciprocals. Okay? Okay, let's try cosecant now. Excuse me. Cosecant, and that's the abbreviation for cosecant. And just also secant is this, S-E-C-A-N-T. Okay? Cosecant of theta is related to sine. That equals 1 over sine theta. And remember our unit circle that this thing's in here. That's my x, here's theta, and that's my y, and here's my radius. Remember sine is what? Opposite, here's theta, opposite over hypotenuse. So 1 over sine theta is really what? 1 over opposite over hypotenuse, which equals 1 over y over r. And what happens when we 1 divided by this? The r, the denominator comes up top. Okay? So cosecant of theta equals r over y. Okay? One more. Tangent. So cotangent, which is short for cotangent. So cotangent of theta, it's related to guess what? Tangent. And that's going to be 1 over tangent of theta. Again, here's my unit circle. And a unit circle, if I didn't mention, always has your radius of 1. Okay? So here's, let's say, a triangle. And theta's right here. Okay, that's theta. Here's my x, y. Remember, this circle, this is the origin of a Cartesian graph. And here's my radius. Okay, x, y. No, this might not be coming out. X, y, radius. Okay? So cotangent is 1 over tangent. Remember, tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. So in this case, that's 1 over what? Opposite over adjacent. 1 over y over x. Okay? So remember, 1 over y over x, when you have an integer divided by a fraction, this comes up, equals x over y. That is your cotangent of theta. All right, so here's what I definitely, all this, hope you understand. So if you have a problem and they're asking for cotangent, well, find tangent. And you know tangent's opposite over adjacent. But we're going to have to start thinking in terms also of y over r, or y over x, or x over r for all these trig functions, okay? But all we need to do now, if we know tangent, we put 1 over tangent, 1 over y over x, and then we can solve for that and flip. So we'll do a problem later, okay? All right. So here's our 6 trig functions, and I'll kind of pair them up. Let's do cosine of theta equals x over r. Okay? Remember, we're using that triangle on the unit circle. It's paired up with secant, okay, which we know is what? 1 over cosine theta. So that's r over x. All right? Another one. Let's do sine. Sine of theta equals y over r. And it's paired up with cosecant, C-O, I spelled it out, S-E-C-A-N-T. They're kind of paired up. Remember, cosecant's the reciprocal of this because it's what? That's 1 over sine theta, which basically gets me what? Undo that. R over y. Okay? So remember, notice how the reciprocals. Cosine theta, x over r, secant of theta, your angle is r over x. Sine theta, y over r, opposite over hypotenuse equals, so that's sine theta. Cosecant's the reciprocal of that. That's 1 over sine theta. So notice that's r over y. Okay? So hopefully you get those down. Now let's do the last one. I'm going to make a new page so you can see it. Your last, those are 4 trig identities right here. Okay? So let me go back and number them. 1, 2, secant 3, 4, cosecant. There's 4. We got 2 more. Tangent and cotangent. Okay. So let's do tangent theta. Just, okay? That's what? Opposite over adjacent, our TOA. That's going to be y over x. Okay? And that's paired up, obviously, with cotangent. It's easy to remember that, of theta. Remember, that's 1 over tangent of theta, which puts me, what, 1 over y over x. Well, it gives me what? X over y. Okay? So hopefully you can get to the place where you can do this. cosine theta r over x, sine theta I messed up there. Sorry, let's start over. Cosine theta. I'm rushing it, guys. My bad, my bad. All right, cosine theta. It's x over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? Sine theta equals y over hypotenuse. Tangent theta equals y over x. No hypotenuse, no radius. Remember, the radius is hypotenuse. Secant theta, flip it, r over x. Notice x goes with cosine. Cosecant theta, flip it, r over y. Cotangent, flip it, x over y. Notice, okay? No hypotenuse involved, no radius. The radius is the hypotenuse, okay? We'll get more into the unit circle later, but here's your 6 trig functions. Cosine, sine, tangent, secant, cosecant, cotangent. Okay? Adjacent over hypotenuse, opposite over hypotenuse, opposite over adjacent, and then if you know these, you know these. We flip them. Okay? All right, that's it. This will be our lesson for Wednesday, 28th day of August, Wednesday night. Okay? Put this in your spiral in 3-4. Okay? Page 3-4 of your notes. In your spiral. I think this one went better. And our student of the week, by the way, is Faith Ashley Daniels. So she gets to put anything she wants on the green board over there, okay? I'll pick a student of the week every week in one of my videos, okay? Study hard.